featured tonight, it is the presentation that will be done by Dr. Pickett. So as we go into it, as with anything else, we want to ask God's blessings and direction. And so without any further ado, I'm going to ask Pastor Martin to come and PM to come and ask God's blessings.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to ask you to bow your heads with me as we ask you to stand, please. Oh, Father and our God, we thank you for this day. Thank you for your grace and your mercies towards us. And even as we are about to go into this session tonight, we ask for your presence, your Holy Spirit endowment, especially on our facilitator for tonight, Dr. Piggott. We pray, Lord, that even through the airwaves and however it is done, Lord, that the broadcasting will be clear and it would be beneficial to those who will be listening. We pray for those who are here and even for those who are coming, that everything that is shared tonight will bring glory and clarity to your name, O God, and even to every one of us who have questions. I pray for clarity of speech for our facilitator, Dr. Piggott, and everything that he presents tonight. And Lord, to you we give the glory, the honor, and the praise. For in the end, O God, only you are worthy to receive glory and praise in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you so very much. You may be seated, ladies and gentlemen. Since you're here, just indulge me to make a request. Those of you who are here already, we're just asking if you could come a little further, please, if you could do that. Come and fill the front row so that the latecomers, it will be very easy. You know, those who come late, you know, so it would be great. So just 30 seconds. Thank you so very much for your understanding. Thank you. Right. All right, you could come, please, so that when those who come at the back, come on, you have some up here. All right. And those who are church folks that I know, I will call your name, so please come and leave the back. Well, the visitors, the visitors could stay at the back, but those of you, yes. So come on. Once there is thing there. Dr. Pickett, you all know Dr. Pickett already, so guess what? He's not eating anybody. The most gentle soul when it comes on to caring for people. Yes. All right. Thank you to those who would have responded. All right. So to most of us, Dr. Pickett is no stranger. And without any further delay, I'm going to get out of the way and I'm going to ask our presenter, Dr. Lennox Piggott, to come and present to us. Can we put our hands together for him? Dr. Piggott, the congregation is yours. Yeah.
Thank you, Reverend Shane, and good night to all of you, my friends here from Montserrat. As Shane says, I am no stranger, right? Nobody's answering me? I've been here several times, and I'm a friend of Montserrat, right? Amen. And so we're here tonight to just continue the course that we would have started before, and hope to continue, hope to go on with. It's not just a one-off. We were here almost 2 years ago, right, when we were at the Bridge Pentecostal, right? And we're here again tonight, and we hope that it will be a continued discourse as we bring attention, or continue to bring attention to this very important aspect of our lives, the issue of mental health. And we trust that even after tonight, that you would find the information to be beneficial, and so beneficial that you would be willing to bring along somebody, especially a young person, tomorrow evening to discuss and to benefit from what we're doing here tonight. Don't let him sit back there. Let him, psst. Hello? Let him come back up. Let him come up. It's okay? Okay. All right. So we are going to just jump right into the presentation for tonight. We're diving into mental health. We're diving deep into the issue of mental health. We are seeking to provide deeper and clearer, right, understanding of mental health in general and specific, some specific aspects of mental health, so that you can not only benefit from it for yourselves, but that you can take this information and seek to benefit those around you, family members, friends, community members, and so on and so forth. Those of you who are in the church, to benefit those with whom you worship on Sundays or whatever time you get into your various churches, that you are able to help them and able to point them rather than to castigate or to shun them or to label them, but be able to help them and be able to provide them with some means of resolution. Maybe resolution is not the best word, but a way to manage their issue. We all have mental health challenges. We all are faced with challenges that could tax our mental health. And the important thing is how we react to that and how we get through that. We want to deal with things like stigma, right? We want to deal with the issue of stigma. And how do we get over that? How does the church move to help someone and help people deal with stigma related to mental health? Many a times you come to church on Sunday or Wednesday, Tuesday, whatever time, you come to the youths, may come to youth meetings, and you see somebody, you don't even know what's going on inside of them. You don't know what they've left home. You don't know what they've been through for the week. You just don't know what is happening. Or you may have an idea something is wrong. But what can you do when you get such an idea? What can you do? And so that's the purpose of why we're here tonight, right? And we want to be able, I want you to relax. Pastor Shane said that you should relax. You're in the church, but you don't let that stop you as long as you're not profane, right? You can be open. You can be free to talk to us and to interact with us. So let me ask you a question, and let me start by asking you a question. And the question is this: when you hear the term mental health, what comes to your mind? When you hear the term mental health, what comes to your mind? And I'm going to allow anyone, you're free to respond. Tonight is a night when you can have a voice. Tonight is a night when you're not afraid, should not be afraid to just respond and say something. So I don't know if there's a, where's the other mic? Pastor Shane, where's your Pastor Shane? You have another? Just have the mic ready for the individuals in the audience, right, who can respond to questions, or if they have questions, to ask the question. So here. Okay. All right. That's a little loud, but okay. Okay, so here we go. What comes to your mind when you hear the term mental health? Anybody? Come on. Yeah. Go ahead.
Disease of the brain.
Disease of the brain. Anyone else? Somebody?
Crazy.
Crazy. Okay. Anyone else? Who is saying? Loco. All right. One of the younger folks. What comes to your mind? Your mental capacity. Explain that. What do you mean by that?
Well, how would you what does your mental capacity how would you say contains? How would you think? How would you visualize things in life? And how you will answer certain questions when you're asked, especially to deal with our mental health, because we all experience mental challenges daily. It's something that we go through.
Okay.
So how would we put it into our context so that we could understand and share with others?
Okay. Anyone else? Any one of the younger folks? I want to hear from you. Any one of the younger folks? Don't be afraid. We're just listening to you. Oh, one of my good friend here. Oh, it's good to see you. Help me out. Come on. I know you have something in your mind.
What first comes to mind is thinking about somebody who is crazy.
Thinking about somebody who's crazy.
Also, taking care of your mind.
Taking care of your mind. Okay. Right. Anyone else? What do you do when you what do you think of? You want to say? Go ahead. You want to say something? Oh, I thought you wanted to say something. What do you think of when you walk on the streets here in Davy Hill, whether it's Braids or wherever you are, over in St. Peter, and you see somebody walking down the street? You want to? Yeah. Go ahead.
Most of the time, I think is when somebody overthink.
Overthink, okay.
So the brain shatters and become weak.
Okay. So that's part of it. Okay. All right. But so let me ask you a question. What do you think? You see somebody on the street, they're dirty, they don't seem to have any way to go, they're bothering you, they just seem to be out of it. How do you react to that? How do you react to that? We all have reactions, you know. But you don't want to tell me. I think you don't want to. How do you react to that? Come on. Say it again. We want those. Remember, here's what people are online, and so they are listening to us. So we want them to hear us. That doesn't mean you filter what you're going to say. It's just that we want to hear.
You would think the person is losing their mental capacity or their mind is not intact.
Okay.
When you see them dirty, you really wonder what is that person really going through as a person, as an individual.
All right. Anyone else? What do you think? Here's a young man here. He has his hand up.
Something is wrong with them.
Something is wrong with them. Like what? Like what? Like what?
They're not in the right mind.
They're not in their right mind. Okay. Anyone else?
All right. When we see someone coming to us and they are looking dirty and probably begging and whatever, we curse them out. We shun them.
Yeah. Thank you. Emil had his hand up.
For me, I always wonder what caused them to be in such a state
What
where
caused
they're
it?
not of themselves.
Okay. All right. Pass the mic along to Teacher Ruth here.
I want to keep out of their way because I don't know what they might hit me or do something to me, so I would keep far from them.
Okay.
I always say that they need help.
They need help. Okay, good. So, Bring it a little closer home now. What if that person walks into your church? What if that person walks into your church? What? Wait a while.
You're scared. You try to get away from them.
You try to get away
Yes,
from them.
even though you are in church, we have the negative, we have the positive, so we have to go with all. Sometimes we just watch if they're going to hit us, just to protect ourselves. That's it.
Okay. All right. Anyone else? What do you do, Erica? Erica, what would you do?
What was the question?
If somebody who is dirty and filthy and, mumbling to himself and seems to have no way to live, and they walk into your church, what would you do?
Not interact with them.
Not interact with them. That's fair enough. Right?
Why not pray for them?
You wonder?
Yeah, because they need help. The church need to pray for them.
Mm-hmm.
That's the purpose of we being here.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you. All right. So now that we've looked at all these things, and you've answered quite cogently, quite openly and frankly as to what you think mental health is and how you would react to a person who you think is experiencing mental health because of the way they look. But here's the other scenario. Even tonight, you may be sitting beside somebody who has mental health challenges and you don't know. You agree with that? Yes. Huh? They just had a big fight at home with their husband, or the child who feels that the parents are not there for them, and they come to church and they are, just not with it. They're down, they're depressed, they're anxious. They're thinking about something that's going to happen at school the next day. Probably someone who has been bullying them, and they're afraid to go to school, right? How many times as parents your child didn't want to go to school that day and you say, you have to go. You have to go. What's wrong with you? You have to go. You don't know. So you always have to be alert to the fact that someone around you may be having some issues. Because when you begin to see changes, especially when you begin to see changes in behavior, changes in the way they act and behave from what they usually act, then you begin to get acute at something, and you can't ignore it. The time has passed when in our church and in our society, we ignore those things. We need to be aware of them. So, as some of you have quite rightly said, when we talk about mental health, it is really looking at a person's sense of well-being, the state of mind, which encompasses the emotional, right? That's how they feel. And it's important to understand that the way you feel about something is not the way my dear friend here feels about it. And you need to appreciate and understand that someone may feel quite differently about the same thing that they've encountered, that you've encountered, and not judge them for that, right? Because now the way they feel and the way they react to it, right, would indicate their psychological makeup. And that's important in understanding mental health, right? That it encompasses our feelings and the way we react to our feelings, and our feelings are generated from the experiences that we have in our lives, right? Somebody says something to me, somebody says something, makes a statement, right, to you, and you are so bothered by it, your emotions, you are reacting to it, and then maybe Courtney heard that statement and said, man, don't let it bother you. Look at him and say, that's how I feel about it. You may not feel that way. And as an individual who may have heard something and you think that the person is overreacting, you need to step back also at the same time and say, you know what? Jackie, what's his name? What's his name? Janice is reacting to this based on her own internal makeup. And so I'm going to support her rather than telling her not to react that way, right? So we're talking about a kind of holistic view of life when it comes to mental illness. It's not just the crazy person, the local person, the strong-out person. It is all of us who have issues related to mental health. How many times have you come to church and you have gone home bothered by something that's happened in church, and sometimes you can't let it go for a period of time? That relates to your mental health as well, right? So I want you to think about that. So all the thoughts and the feelings and behavior that come with it. So how would I know, how would you know if someone may be having some mental health challenges? How would you know? Based upon what? Based upon their behavior. Based upon their behavior, right? So we infer as to what's happening mentally based upon what we see outwardly, based upon the person's behavior. So that is crucial. So what we want to focus on is what we would term as good mental health. Good mental health refers to a person who experiences challenges but is able to navigate them and continue to go on in life the way that society feels they should, and a way because you can't take that out of it. You really can't take that out of it. So they experience problems, they experience difficulties, but it doesn't stop them from functioning the way that they should function in daily living. It's normal to feel anxious, a little down sometimes. Who here has never felt down? Who here has never felt anxious? It's normal. But to be able to move on in spite of is what we refer to as good, adequate mental health. So, with that, let me ask you a question. What is stress? How would you define stress? What is stress? Deputy Governor General? Deputy Governor? Deputy Governor can ask and answer what stress is for us. My good friend right here. What is stress? I put you on this one, right?
How you react to a certain situation.
Say more.
Oh my.
But in essence, you're right. It's that reaction, right, to a particular event in your life. Sometimes we mistake the event as the stress. Event is not the stress. How you deal with that particular event. It's maybe for want of a better word, I want to use words that you can relate to. Maybe it's a bad event, a traumatic event, a difficult event, right? Loss of job, not having money, death. All those are events that impact lives. But how you react to that determines whether or not it is a stressor, determines whether or not you are stressed. And the person with adequate mental health is able to navigate through those difficult experiences and to move on. So the reason I'm asking that question is this. Before you can label anyone, before you can say anything about their behavior, you have first to know what is behind that behavior. You follow what I'm saying? You first have to know what led up to that. What has been their experience? Even with the man on the street that you see mumbling and walking and dirty, you have to go back to 20 and 30 and so years, many, many years ago in some cases, to find out what happened. It may not be that long, it may be recent, they may just have experienced some trauma recently that just threw them off. They were not able to handle it. They didn't have the support system to handle it. And that falls apart, and they fall apart. The concept of the support system is very important. And that is why we're here. That's why we're in the church. That's why we're here tonight to talk about it, because you then need to become support system for people. Right? So mostly we can look at mental health and its challenges and conceptualize it this way, right? Events occur. But on the other hand, there are some what we call protective factors that help to mitigate or to prevent the person from falling apart. We call those events risk factors, and all of us face risk factors in our lives. All of us face risk factors in our lives, and sometimes daily. But if you have, on the other hand, what we call a protective factor, something that helps to come as a buffer between that risk factor and your falling apart, that helps. You have a wife who listens to you. Does your wife listen to you, Emil? Okay, good. Right? You have a husband, you have a friend, you have a pastor whom you can call, who is not going to label you as, well, what happened? Did you sin? Did you, you know what I mean? I mean, what really happened? Right? But to listen to you and understand what you just experienced, whether it's recent or sometime in the past, that helps him or her to understand what you are dealing with. That protective factor becomes extremely, extremely important. The church has missed that component over the years. Lindo, you agree, right? We've missed that component over the years. And now we are trying to change that. Our pastors and we, as ICE counselors, the Inter-Island Counseling Entity, that's the name, right? Trying to change that. We're trying to become like a protective factor, because we're not just here to react to when you are falling apart. We're here to put things in place as well, to be a buffer against your falling apart, against your becoming, and we're going to change those terms, right? We're going to erase those terms like crazy and loco and stuff from our vocabulary. But we want to provide protective factors against your having mental health problems, right? And so we can talk a little bit here about, again, some of the indicators of good mental health, and then we'll look at some mental health problems. So some of the indicators would be the ability to cope and manage stress. We talked about what stress is, right? Anyone here who didn't understand what I said about stress? You understand what I said about stress, right? I want to be clear that you understand. So it's the ability to cope with and manage stressful situations, that you're going to face them. But how do you manage them, right? You manage them by being clear in the way you're thinking, being flexible. You know what I mean by flexible? You're able to adjust rather than being so, always straight. You handle things. You react the same way all the time. And sometimes you need to be able to see the things that you face, the difficulties that you face, in a positive way, and not always negatively, right? That you can use that experience as a means of growth. You can use that experience to bolster your life, to make you better. That is an indicator of good mental health. I repeat it, and I probably repeat throughout the night, that we all face challenges. But how do you navigate them? You here in Montserrat may not know, but 2 months ago, this is what, about 3 months ago, I lost a granddaughter, 22-year-old granddaughter. It was a dark period for me. Dark period. I was in South Africa when she passed away, and I didn't want to get out of the room. I just wanted to cover my head. But I had to work through that. I had to think and call her mother and say, look, you had 22 great years with her. We had 22 great years with her. And she said, she was my best friend. And you see, you begin to work through it in a positive manner. You begin to think of the positives instead of the negatives. Your belly tearing out, Your belly tearing out. Your insides are being ripped out like if somebody took something and ripped you out and your guts are falling out. But you still have to think of it in a positive. That's what I'm talking about. Right? That's what I'm talking about. Many of you have been there. Some of you have been there. But you have come through that because you're able to. Right? But then there are others who didn't have what you have, who fall apart, who never recover. It may have happened 15, 20 years ago. That man you see out there, that woman you see out there, sometimes defecating on themselves and doing all kinds of things. That person may have faced the same thing that you faced, but didn't have the buffer, didn't have what it takes to navigate through it. So the next time you see them, let that come to your mind. And instead of shunning them, instead of running away, so what can I do to help them? Don't leave them there to struggle by themselves. So you need, again, you see what the last one said, caring for self and others. If you can only care for yourself, but you can't care for someone around you, you're deficient in mental health. So you need to be able, not only self-care, but to be able to reach out with empathy, even sympathy, with compassion to someone else. That is what we are here to promote on this Emerald Isle. That's what we're here to promote, that you are able to do that. Right? So again, let me ask, what are some, therefore, with that in mind, what are some of the challenges that people may face that may lead to mental health problems? Can you think of any? What are some of the challenges? Young, come up here to this pretty young lady.
Depression.
Depression. Okay, okay. What do you think would lead to, leave her with the mic for me. What do you think would lead to a person becoming depressed?
I mean, for other youth like me, I will say like school, and it can be your own family problem.
Deep.
Yeah.
Extremely deep. School and your own family. And you know, the two go hand in hand because the family problems compound the school. So much pressure to do well at school, right? And parents not understanding what is happening. Excellent answer. Excellent answer. Anyone else? Come on, give a round of applause for that answer. Come on. Really? Anyone else? What? Gentleman here.
Wrong judgment at work sometimes.
Explain that for us.
People accusing you for doing wrongs.
People accusing.
Without trying to settle the situation before.
Okay. Yeah.
Or even call you into the office to even talk.
Okay. All right. And that can leave you depressed. You go home down. Right? Anyone else? Go ahead.
The loss of a family member.
The loss of a family member. Extremely brilliant answer. Come to Janzi here for me. Janice. It's all right. I may call it wrong, but it's still you. It's still you.
Finance.
Say it again.
Finance.
Final exams, you mean?
Finance, yeah.
Oh, finances. Oh, yes. Big time stressor, right? Big time stressor. Anyone else? Here, Jane.
Losing your job.
Losing your job. Brilliant, brilliant. Eh? See all of these. You see how many things? And these are common things in life. Right? These are common. Yes, sir.
Broken marriage.
Broken marriages.
Or bullying, some bullying.
Bullying.
Yes, all these things cause problem in your life.
Yes, yes.
Fighting.
Yes, okay. Yeah, okay. Emilio's the mic.
Sorry. How about no one to talk to or discuss your problems?
No one to talk
with?
to
You
or
get
discuss.
depressed.
Yeah, you get depressed.
You can't
Okay.
trust anyone or
Yeah.
something like that.
Very good. You bring up a good word. No one to talk to. What is the difference between loneliness and yeah?
I just want to say that it's not only the children and youths that go through bullying, but also adults can have that problem too.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So Emil brought up the concept of no one to talk to and sense of aloneness. What's the difference between loneliness and being alone? Anyone? Come on, you're brilliant people. I've interacted with you for years. I know you're brilliant people here on the island of Montserrat. What's the difference between loneliness and being alone? You want to help us out? Come, bend over. You're not sure? Well, say what is on your mind.
One is a mental state and one is physical.
Okay.
So because you can be around a lot of people physically and feel lonely. So it's mentally lonely, but alone is physical when you're in a...
Right. Okay. So you're quite right. Mental versus physical. I am alone, but I don't feel lonely. For whatever reason, I can summon up things, maybe memories, maybe all kinds of things that help me to not feel, right? So again, it's extremely important to understand all of this. And so you may see someone who, they have everybody around them, but they're miserable because they feel lonely. I didn't hear you. Stephanie says they're not a part of that crowd, right? They're not a part of that crowd.
I was saying that they're not a part of the crowd. They're there, but they're elsewhere.
Okay.
Their mind is elsewhere.
Very, very good. Very excellent. right? So let's look at some of the signs and symptoms of mental health problems. Some of the signs and symptoms of mental health problems. Just have them there. You can look at them, right? Withdrawal from friends, right? Sometimes you're in the group, but you're not there. You know what I mean? You're there, but mind is elsewhere, right? Then you have things like mood swings, extreme. 1 minute you seem quite happy, jovial, and then, boy, all of a sudden, you just don't feel like talking to anyone. You feel teary. You feel like you want to cry. You have things like low energy. You don't want to get out of bed. How many of you have had a day where you don't want to really get out of the bed, right? Don't want to move, right? Maybe a sign that something is wrong. Loss of appetite. You wanted to say something, Reverend Pastor? Loss of appetite, right? Anxiety. And then you may see someone who is, and this is what we need to understand. This is what sometimes we look at we look at people with problems with drug abuse, problems with alcohol, and we say that person is weak. We need to begin to shift our thinking. Something is going on inside. They're craving something that causes them to turn to alcohol. So I met, I think, Karen, a young lady just the other day who has lived with suicidal ideation. Ideation means thoughts about suicide for a lot of her life. There have been 1 or 2 attempts, but she said something held her back. But here's the issue. At the age of 10, she was molested by a family member who then pulled out a gun and said, if you tell anybody. So she's had to live with that all of her life. Right now, she self-medicates with marijuana because it numbs the pain. But if we see her, she's a gorgeous-looking young woman, but you see her when she's strung out. Her mother is there trying to help her. She too is having her own issues. But you see her and you know her. She's had a good education. And you will say, well, but after all this, why are you doing this? But you don't know. You wouldn't know until she's told you what her experience was 30 years ago. You wouldn't know. She's brought up in the church too. Well, you wouldn't know. So when you see somebody who is seemingly looking weak, they're drugged, they're strung out, begin to ask yourself the question, what has been that person's experience? And so your response now shouldn't be one of judgment, shouldn't be one of shunning and putting that person into isolation. It should be, what can I do to help? And maybe all you can do to help is to call Brother Julian or one of the ICE persons here in Montserrat and say, look, I know this person. You follow what I'm saying? There is something each of us can do to help people. So I want you to understand. I want you to know the signs and symptoms. We have booklets. We have them here. We have booklets that contains this entire presentation and more, right? Because I'm going off the cuff tonight. I'm not sticking to my, to my script. I want to connect with you tonight. I want that when we leave here tonight, you go saying, you know what? I want to make a difference, right? I especially see you. I'm looking at you. And you're the one. I want to make a difference. And I know that you're gonna do it. I want to make a difference. Governor, acting, deputy, is it, what's the term? Does it tell me now? Huh? There's none? Oh, Miss Lindora. Let me call you by name then, Lindora. I want you to leave here tonight to make a difference. You see, Wesleyan have high people in high office, you know. Right? It's my friend for how many years? Many, many years since I started coming to Montserrat. Okay? So, we also have in the booklet issues, and you could see there some of the mental health disorders. You can read it. But what I want to now ask is this question. Think it through. Think it through. What is the main reason why people in Montserrat do not seek help for mental health issues? What's the main reason? There may be many reasons. But what is the main reason?
Stigma.
Stigma. Okay. Anyone else? Erica?
Confidentiality. They might be embarrassed, like if other people find out like what they're going through.
Izzy, you know, you really know Izzy? You want to tell us? All right. Issues of confidentiality, stigma. Anything else? Come on. Bring the mic up to Miss Stewart. Miss Stewart. Stephanie. You forgot your Stephanie's last name?
People in Montserrat know where the mental health unit is, and if they see people going there, that they would stigmatize you.
Stigma, again, the issue of stigma. Right? Anything else? Anyone else? So yes, stigma is probably the major reason. The fear of stigma is the major reason why people don't seek mental health. Not only in Montserrat, right? But probably all across the world. Right? And what is stigma? So what is stigma? Right? A dark stain, a blemish. Right? It is the feeling that someone is going to put you down, see you negatively, right? Shun you, see you as an outcast in society, right? All that is related to stigma, right? The negative attitude where someone is labeled, and even all the terms that you use tonight, like crazy and loco and all that, they are evidences of stigma. Stigma that we place on people. So, why would I seek help if I'm going to be labeled? Why would I seek help, and I'm coming home to the church, if the church is going to stigmatize me? Why would I seek help if all the church is going to do is say, well, you need deliverance from demons? Why would I seek help? Why would I seek help if the church is going to tell me, you must have sinned? Why would I seek help? So that stigma is clearly a big, big reason why people don't seek help for mental health issues. And the main reason, why do you think, what's the main reason why stigma exists? Anybody can tell me? What do you think? I heard the term. Ignorance. Lack of understanding, right? And the lack of understanding then comes to be a pepper pot of shame, and all kinds of things are mixed up in there, right? Because we don't understand. We don't understand what mental health is. We don't understand the sources of mental health. And that even, listen, some people, the mental health issues sometimes don't even have anything to do with anyone else or any experience. Sometimes it's brain chemistry. Brain chemistry. And if we don't understand all of this, it becomes a problem. If we think, see, because I'm looking at it from two angles here. I'm looking at it from the person who needs to seek mental health, but because they are afraid of stigma, refuses to seek help. But I'm also looking at it from the point of view of those who think, I don't have any problems, but I want to stigmatize the other person who has problems. To say to you, stop, because you don't understand, you don't know. Seek help, and that is why we're here in the Davy Wesleyan Holiness Church tonight, to bring to your attention that we want you to begin to understand what mental health is, sources of mental health, to understand that it's you and you and you and you and you and you who also have mental health challenges. So we can move away from stigmatizing, because when you stigmatize yourselves. When you place stigma on somebody else, you stigmatize yourselves. And a lot of times, right, the stigma we place on somebody is to do what? Is to push it off of ourselves. Well, I'm not in that position. And indeed, you may quite well be. So some of the common ways the stigma is seen, you think, as someone said tonight, you do what? You fear, you run up because you don't know what they're gonna do to you. So you think that someone with mental illness is dangerous. The majority, an overwhelming percentage of people with mental health are not dangerous. Okay? Not dangerous at all. Again, you stigmatize because you believe that a person with mental health condition is not able to contribute to society, and that's not true. Some of the greatest artistic individuals had mental health issues. Some of the greatest paintings you see come from people with mental health issues. Some of your leaders who have led your island or my island and other islands have mental health issues. So when we make assumption about people's intelligence and their ability, we are going down the wrong road, right? You see a person. How many of you would have, you look at a person and they say, mainly a woman, and they're in a relationship for years and years. It's an abusive relationship. They can't seem to get out of it, and you judge them. You don't know the reason. You don't know the reason. So again, if you notice that I'm making this a motif in my presentation, knowing the reason, taking time to stop and understand, even if it's just to ask yourself, even if it's just to tell yourself, you know what, I'm going to step back because I don't know the reason. You may never find out what the reason is, but you step back from making a judgment, you step back from stigmatizing because I say, I don't know the reason. And that makes a difference. If we can just change your attitude towards that, people will come forward. People will come to seek help. Because they look at Linda and you say, but she's not judging me. And then they can open up to you. Talk to the counselors. We went through pretty much a 3-year intensive training. And I hope that if it's one thing that they learn is how to connect with people, how to just listen to people. And half of the time, the work is done just by listening. You know what? She's stopping. She's listening to me. She's hearing me. He's hearing me. on Sunday night, we're going to talk, and I just wanted to correct Pastor a little bit, not just about communication in marriage. We're going to talk about communication, how to communicate, how to listen to people, how to stop interrupting somebody when they're telling you something and you start to talk to them about what you just went through. You didn't even respond to what they said about what they experienced. You start to talk about your experiences. So we're going to talk a little bit about that on Sunday and Sunday night. How we can change that dynamic. And if you can change that dynamic, if you can see Joe walking down the street and he's trembling and just stop and say, Joe, how was your day? Joe, what happened? You're going to see his eyes are going to open. What, is she talking to me? But then he will begin to mellow down and open up and hear what you have to say. The importance of listening, the importance of hearing, right? Connecting with people. And that is the way to deal with destigmatizing. We're still talking about stigma, right? Or one of the, well, let me ask you something. What's the most prevalent response, response you hear most often from people in the church? You walk up to somebody in the church and you say, well, I really am suffering with this, I'm experiencing this, things are really tough, and so on, so on, so on. Pastor, what's the most common response? Not the pastor out there, the pastor inside here. Pastor Keller, what's the most common response, you think?
Take it to the Lord in prayer.
Thank you, Pastor. Pray more, take it to the Lord in prayer. What you think I don't know what to do? You think I don't know that I can pray to the Lord? You think I don't know? But I need a little bit more than that. It's a wonderful compliment, but it is a dangerous supplement. When you tell somebody that that's all they can do, it's dangerous. Man, I need a little bit more than that. I need you to hold my hand. I need you to listen to me and hear where I've been. Person might have worn their knees out already in prayer. And you tell them, take it to the Lord in prayer. They need more than that. They need you to hold their hands. They need you to tell them, I hear you, brother. I hear you, sister. Now, listen carefully to this sentence. Let's see how we can walk through this. Let's see how we can handle this. Because you're bringing yourself alongside them in an attempt to make a difference. So, young man, whenever you go to Pastor Shane or Pastor Keller or Dr. Ruth or any one of the elders in the Davy Hill Wesleyan Holiness Church or the Beulah Wesleyan Holiness, just like Brother Julian, Brother Emil, Sister Merlita, and they tell you, pray, say, I don't do that. Help me with something else. Look them in their faces and said, I wouldn't come to you if I was not at the stage where I don't know what else to do. I have tried everything that I myself know how to try, including praying. Because even just to say, when you say, Lord, help me, that's a prayer, you know. It's a prayer. Lord, you know what I'm going through. It's a prayer. So you need them to come alongside you and say, okay, let's sit and talk. And the way they should start is to say, tell me what's happening to you. Let me hear from you without judging you. And even if you have committed what they consider to be a sin, they need to listen to you and not condemn you. I tell you, you know the story well. The story's in the Bible. Jesus This story fascinates me, Lynn, because they say these men, they're hiding behind something, watching for when this woman brings a man into. They know that they're hiding. Antigua, they call it cooping. Oh, here too, they call it cooping. And they say, we got her. We got her. And they didn't just go in as soon as you walk in. They wait. Let's wait until they're in the, and we know they're in the act. And they pulled her and they took her. We caught her in the act. Man, this is no speculation. We caught her. We saw her. Jesus stood still. He said, "Yeah, I accept that. But I tell you what, and she should. Moses' law said she should die. Jesus, I agree. This is what Jesus is saying. I agree. She should die. So go ahead and kill her. Take the stone up and hit her in her forehead. Knock her down with it. But make sure, beginning from the youngest to the or something, start there, the oldest one to the youngest, start there. But make sure that none of you has any sin." And you could hear the noise of the stone dropping. The stones are dropping. Because I believe they had their stones in their hand ready. And they're dropping. Boop, boop. And she stood face to face with one person. Janice, that's her name? Janice? Janice. And let me tell you something. The person with whom she stood face to face with could have taken up the stone because he had no sin. But he said, "Woman, nobody condemn you?" "No, I don't. Go and sin no more." Let me tell you something. You can't say that, no. You can't say that. Because I can't say that. I'm wretched. I'm sinful. But we do say that. We do. Not that. We do become Pharisaical. We stone. We pelt when we shouldn't pelt. Because our lives are full of sin. So when you see somebody, one of the things we do, we deal with the person's problems and then we bring in the spiritual. We don't go directly to the spiritual right away. We deal with, and I know the pastors here, that, what Pastor Pickett is a pastor, yeah. But I know that it works. I know that it works. Let me tell you something. A person who comes up to you and they're Christian, they're believers, they know they have sinned. You don't have to go and point it in their face. You help them through. And then when you help them through, just like Jesus, because that's what Jesus did now. First, Jesus helped that woman through her problem. And then she said, "No, you go and sin no more." You go and sin no more. Let that be a lesson for us. Let that be a lesson for you. That in helping somebody, you don't directly go to the sin. You say, where have you been? What have you experienced? Whether it's 20 years ago, 30 or 40 years, tell me and have the patience. Some of us don't have any patience. Somebody mentioned something else tonight. I think it's in the back. And it ties in with also what Erica said. The issue of trust. Issue of confidentiality. There are people who are in our churches today and they look at you. They don't trust you. They don't trust you. Because if I were to do a research on okra mouth, you know what's an okra mouth? You know what's okra? Slippery. So okra mouth for me is the one who talk. Most okra mouths you have in the church. We talk. People do not trust us. We have got to shift that dynamic. We've got to be able to hear somebody talk about their issue and contain it. Hold their hand and let them feel safe. I can tell you the deepest, darkest issue in my life. And you're going to hold on to it and help me through it. You're going to hold on to it and walk me through the path to light. I'm not talking about, compromise or condoning. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about hearing and helping. And going with an attitude that says, there but for the grace of God, go I. Going with an attitude that says, I'm not much different from this person. And even for some of us, going with an attitude that says, I'm just like this person, but that nobody knows. It's important that you get to that point. I know that in here tonight, some of you are there. Some of you would like to unburden yourself, but you feel reticent. You feel that you can't do it because you don't trust people. I trust that after tonight, elders in here, those would come out and say, look, I am willing to hear you. You can talk to me and be truthful about it, but I'm not going to tell anybody. I'm not going to go to pastor. I'm not going to go to I'm not going to go to my friend and tell my friend. Because when you do that, you're spreading a stigma. You're further stigmatizing the person to be. But you must be able to hear them and listen to them. Contain what they're telling you. Contain what you hear from them. Because they need help. Huh? They need help. And the impact, yes. Good. You can interrupt me at any time, please. Because if you notice, I'm not sticking to my script. Yeah, go ahead.
What if you hear the person, but you can't help the person?
That
what must you do there?
That is
you
where...
sit down and you listen. You hear the person out with everything, but you can't help. What you do there?
Okay. Stephanie and the others, stand up. Stand up. I want the Monserratians to stand up. Oh, no, the Monserratians. I want them to stand up. I have spent 3 years training them, and part of their training is confidentiality. I would leave my number here with the entire audience. And to answer your question now, when you hear that something you can't help, you get to one of them. Because they should now be able to help that person without saying anything to anybody. If you ever hear they say anything to anybody, you call me. Yeah, seriously. If you ever hear that thing has gone beyond what you call me. Because that's important. They ought to be able to contain what you would have told them. They had extensive training in confidentiality. They will be signing confidentiality agreements. They've already signed one. They will sign an updated one, yeah? Okay? So, thank you so much for that question. Any other question? I want this to be loose. I'm not sticking to my script tonight. I don't feel led to stick to the script. Yes, Karen? Or the councils training? If you want to add to what I'm saying, do so. I'm not sticking to the script.
I was just going to add that you would be surprised at how just listening to someone helps. Sometimes we've had situations and after the person, we've sat there and they've spoken and spoken and spoken. And they say they feel better, and we kind of say like, what did I do? I didn't say anything to make them feel better. But just being able to talk and express what has happened to you and to have someone listen without judgment does a lot. So being an ear to someone who's expressing themselves does indeed help.
Exactly. We had that experience, you and I, recently with the two people we sat together with, and they go, I feel better. The mother who says, I haven't, and she had some training in counseling, but she said, I'm leaving here feeling better. We didn't tell her nothing. We just listened. Sometimes that's all you need to do. Anyone else with any comments? Julian has a comment up here.
On the point of what was spoken about before, telling someone, take it to the Lord in prayer, or we'll pray for you. And the person prior would have prayed, and the Lord would have led them to you. And then you telling them, take it to the Lord in prayer, but the Lord expects you to be the one to help them through the situation. Because they prayed and God answered their prayer.
What an excellent observation, right? The answer to their prayer is you. And you're sending them back again to pray, right? Very important. Anyone else? Yeah, come on. What are your thoughts? What's going through, Stephanie? What's going through your minds right now?
Another thing is that sometimes the clients just want to be heard. And they tell you, what, I feel better now that I'm being heard.
Yeah, they feel better now that they've been heard. You wouldn't realize how many people have not been, in their lives have not truly been heard. Children come to busy parents who don't hear them. You don't know, I have to do this, I have to cook, I have to do that. They don't hear them. We're going to talk about hearing on Sunday night, so I don't want to preempt that. I want you to come back. Because, and we're going to do some listening scenarios. You're married? Not married? Okay. Not yet. So let me take maybe the good. No, it's all right. I'm just going to use it just for so. My good friend Lindora. Her husband come home from work and he had a rough day, and he says, honey, my day's been so rough, blah 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 blah. And she said, let me tell you about mine. She didn't hear him. And that often happens in families. We don't hear well, we don't listen. Yes.
There are times too when someone will come to you for advice or some, word of comfort. And the person will say to them, I'm sorry, but me really can't help you. You do not give them any comfort at all. You just, make the situation worse.
Okay. All right. Yeah. And sometimes all it needs is to listen, hear what they say. And even if you can't, as the lady says, even if you can't help them, you point them, you point them to a place where they can find help. But the listening is important, right? Extremely important. Anyone else? Come on. Julian.
Just a brief situation that of several, but one that happened to me many years ago in St. Martin. I'm just walking up the road, and a lady, don't know the lady, don't know who she is. The lady came to me and I guess I don't know. She asked, "You're Christian?" I said, "Yes." Then she just started talking. And talking and talking. And then afterwards, she just left, and I went my way, and she went away. She She just wanted somebody. And I never saw her again in my life. She never saw me again, but she just wanted somebody to talk. I mean, who knows what point in her mental state she was at then, that she just wanted somebody that she can trust to talk to, and then say goodbye, and that's it.
Thank you. Again, the issue of trust. When you tell somebody you are a believer, you're a Christian, they should be able to trust you. Sadly, the experience is different. People should be able to trust you. Anyone else? Any? So, what can the church do? Let me ask you that question. What can the church do? And I want to hear from you. What do you think the church can do to begin to shift the mindset of people? I promise you, we're not going to go beyond 9 o'clock. Because I want you to come back tomorrow night, right? What can the church do? Anyone? I want to hear from one of the young people. Youth president, what can the church do? I'm not putting you on the spot. You have a brilliant mind. You're quiet, but you have a brilliant mind.
One of the things I think that the church can do, I think, one, this is a good initiative of making people know about mental health more. And also, what the church can do is reach out to persons. Some persons may be afraid to come, but just like how we are here and we know who the counselors are in Montserrat, people approaching them would make things easier as well.
Thank you so much. Oh, thank you so much. Anyone else? What can the church do? Erica, you have an answer for us? What do you want to see the church doing to help people with mental health?
To educate them about mental health.
Okay. Provide education about mental health. Very, very good. Anyone else? Let me ask you a question. If you were having problems with substance abuse, where would you go? When you want help, you want to kick this habit, where would you go?
I mostly talk to my pastor.
Mostly you would want to talk to your pastor. And I can tell you that most people with substance abuse, if the church begins to start a program to give help for something, they would gravitate towards it rather than any other secular. I've seen it. See where the church starts and people come and we have in our district what we call the recovery church. Several areas, the recovery church. And they're just for people who are experiencing substance abuse problems. They come, they're having substance abuse. They meet sometimes. They don't meet with the regular people who dress up nice because, you know what it is. Then they come and when they walk in, there's a table with coffee and donut, and they pick up and they go and sit down. And in the worship, they eat. They do what you won't allow them to do here, Emil. They're drinking their coffee, they're eating their donut, because you want to make them feel at home. Because the important thing is for them to hear the message. The important thing is for them to know that God loves them. And included in that is also the substance abuse counseling. But you see, we have, as a people in the Caribbean, as a church in the Caribbean, we're so structured in what we do. It's a Sunday morning service. Come to worship, and sometimes the worship leader them long, you know. They love to hear themselves. Yeah. Hold on.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
What's the number for the car again? 2637. The driver, can you please remove? Somebody wants to get out. 2637. Thank you.
2637. That's you? Okay. So you know, but the time has come. The time has come in 2025 for us to move beyond what we've been doing since 1970 and 1980. 1900. The time has come. The time has come for us to begin to attract. It's not just the nice looking people that we want to attract. What did Jesus say? I have come to do what? You know the scripture? The Spirit of the Lord is upon me because he has what? Anointed me to do what? To whom? The broken, the poor, freedom for prisoners, and recovery of sight for the blind. Prisoners don't mean those in the Montserrat prison. Prisoners mean those who are imprisoned by drug abuse, those who are imprisoned by alcohol, those who are imprisoned by the thoughts, the obsessive thoughts. He said to set the oppressed free. He didn't come for the nicey. Instead, he came to set these people free. I was talking to some of the counselors in training this afternoon. We were just hanging around and looking at some of Jesus' statement. And we were saying, you know, that no matter what you read in the Bible, you've never seen Jesus castigated any one of these people. You've never seen Jesus castigate a sinner out and out. The woman with the caught in the act of adultery, Mary Magdalene, the woman at the well, never castigated them. Everything he did was to connect with them first. But he looked at the scribes and Pharisees. And you know, we are the scribes and Pharisees of today. You know that, Indora? We are the scribes and he said to them, you whited sepulchre. Stop, my dear friend, my youth president. Stop and think about that statement. Jesus saying, look at all them nice dress you wear. Look at all. You all look so nice coming to church. But if I take off and rip you outside, inside stink. You know what's a sepulchre? A sepulchre is a tomb. It's a grave with dead bones, and it stink. I trust tonight that we would decide that we are not going to be whited sepulchres. We're going to be open and ready to help people who need help. Because human beings are both physical and spiritual. We focus so much on the spiritual that, you know, we stop making an impact on people's lives because the physical for them and the issues around them are overwhelming. So very quickly, and I think you've mentioned it, here's what we can do. We can start a mental health ministry. This is what ICE is about. ICE is about a mental health ministry, right? That provides a safe, supportive environment for people to discuss their mental health issues. You ought to be safe. You ought to feel supported when you seek help for whatever issue it is that you're facing. Acceptance, understanding. I accept you. It doesn't matter, nothing. In my life, nothing that anybody can tell me in what they're facing surprises me. Because I know what life is all about. I know. And so you need to get there. And you get shocked by what somebody tells you already, cast them aside. Yeah? So, again, start a mental health ministry. Erica talks about this, providing education and awareness. There's not enough awareness about what mental health is. We're going to continue this dialogue. If I could come to Montserrat every year to have some night, I will. I will. So that the dialogue can continue. We can talk about it. You can ask your questions. Don't be afraid to ask your question. These are programs that are designed to provide you with awareness so you can recognize the signs, recognize the symptoms of mental health. I wish we could have had something where we could talk about all, but I didn't want to bore you. It's in the booklet about the different major mental illnesses and a brief caption of what they are, so you will have that. Look at it, so that maybe, just maybe, you can say, well, you know, the person with whom I work, I see that in them. And it's not that they're a bad person, but it's just that they are having mental health issues. The person in church, the person somewhere. So you can recognize that, right? That's what the education. Partner with us. Partner with other mental health professionals. The church can do that. It's not about sin. It's not just about sin. It's not just about demon possession. It's about people with mental health issues. And so the church should begin to get outside of itself and partner with people with other mental health professions. Provide opportunities for service and connection. Right? Provide opportunities for service. Bring people in. When we had our symposium in Antigua last week, talk about people who have things to offer the church, but because we see them as being different, we don't use them. Fit, and Reverend Daniel, the former district superintendent, says we need to fit people. Fit them to where they belong, where they can serve. Fit them. That's why we burn people out in the church, you know. You know why? Because we use the same people over and over. 20, 30 years, they sit on the board. And they become albatrosses because they really don't have nothing to say anymore, you know. Because things have evolved so much. And when the young person bring up something new, well, that's not what we used to do here. I wanted to say something, but I can't say it. But it's time for you to exit the board. Honestly. Fit people. Right? You know, right now, I don't have in my church, who's been there recently, I don't have, we have a piano, and as I've been played. All main music is a steel drum. My cousin plays the steel drum. And some of the older people, them say, Pastor, what did I say? Pastor, you bring the world in the church. I belong. You know? And sometimes I've learned over the years, sometimes I could be a little dismissive, but I don't dismiss them. I listen. I can't tell people to listen and I don't listen. But I listen, Janice, and then I don't listen. I hear them, but I say, it's all right. Tap them on the shoulder and say, it will stay. Okay, this is what. And the same woman who told me, Pastor, bring music in the church. The same woman who danced the aisle to the steel, to the steel drum. Yeah? We need to begin to make changes. Eh? Give up people opportunities to serve, connect with people. One of the things that you can do as a church, and I'm talking to our leaders, you have people coming into your church. Some of them are lonely. Some of them don't have anybody to talk to. Why don't you make a connect? You know, you come on a Wednesday morning, Wednesday night, and you have all these prayer services. And I tell the people, why do we have to come on? We come on, we have prayer services in my church for twice a month, every first and third Saturdays. But you know what I do? I connect Janice with Stephanie. And I say, that's your prayer partner. Tell me the night that you guys are going to meet. We're going to write it down. And next month I'm going to come. How many of these nights you meet for the month? Connection. Because it's not just about prayer. Because and you know what they do, Lindora? They sit down and they talk about their issues. They have somebody to talk to. Because Pastor can't listen to everybody. But some pastors think they're Django's. You go and you tell me everything. No. I don't want to hear everything. You connect and you guys talk. That's a mental health checkup right there, you know. Huh? And you develop, maybe at first, you're a little shy, reluctant, because I don't know if you can trust. But as you begin to share, you open up and you see, well, I could trust. I could trust. I have told them, whenever, they travel and they're away, boy, they're miserable. I say, well, that don't stop you from use your WhatsApp and connect, whether you're in Antigua and she's in New York, or if you go to Zambia, one of them comes to Zambia with me. And no matter what, here is this. She's in Zambia with us. And you know the time difference? Big time difference. But when is that prayer time for her to connect with Sister Iota? She leaves the group and she go and connect. Because it makes a difference. These are little things we can do as church. It's not so complicated. It's not rocket science. It's easy. It's just some little things that we can do as a church. Fit people together. Let people know that they're welcome. Because what it does is that it gives people a means of connection. And every now and then, we come together to talk about what we've been doing in our prayer groups. So it's not just, you see, we have this corporate. So because think about it, the corporate prayer. What is your prayer? I have a request, but then I'll tell you what the request is. Unspoken. I don't know what that means, But if they are able, in intimate relationships, I bet you they would tell the other person what that request is, and they would pray for it. Try it. Shane, try it. Keller, try it. It works. It works. And when you do it, put a monstration with a Haitian. Me going on the wrong line now? Thank you, Sister Governor. Thank you, Deputy Governor. Put a Guyanese with a Montserrat. Mix the people up. Let them get to know and love each other, man. Right? Opportunities for connection. Encourage healthy habits. Right? Good habits. Good eating habits. Physical habits. Church can do that. Talk about it. Right? Contribute to the overall well-being. And then, of course, you must promote spiritual growth. But we do that. We do that. When we come up on a Sunday morning to preach, we are promoting spiritual growth. Sometimes it needs to be a little bit more personal, right? Because someone may be struggling with a particular spiritual issue, right? And when someone comes to you with this, struggling with a particular spiritual issue, that's the wind? When someone comes to you struggling with a particular spiritual issue, contain it for them. Contain it. Be a container and help them through it. So, that's the church. But the church is made up of you. So you as individuals must also shift your thinking. Paul says that the only way you can be transformed is by what? Renewing of your mind. And you begin to shift your thinking. First of all, of course, the community must normalize. We need to normalize mental health. But you too, as individuals, must normalize it. Normalize it. Right? Comfortable. You must be comfortable with saying, I'm going to see my counselor. Don't hide it. There's nothing wrong with that. In the United States where I live, and I went to, secular school. I got my training at the secular school before I then incorporated the Christian counseling. And those, the people of the Jewish religion and so on, they boast about seeing their therapist. They'll tell you. Huh? Be willing to accept the fact that you're flawed. We are all flawed. We're flawed human beings. And if you accept it, you can then seek the help that you need. So let's talk about some steps to making some positive changes. Learn about mental health. Learn what it is. We started tonight. Continue to do your own research. Ask the questions. Use your words carefully. Drop words like insane and crazy and loco from your vocabulary. They only stigmatize people or further stigmatize people. Drop them. Right? And you can talk of mental health issues. You can talk of mental health challenges because you have them too. Right? Join the campaign for changes. And share your story. Share your story. Share your story. These counselors in training here will tell you that throughout the through almost 3 years, how many of my stories I've shared with them. How many of my stories, the day when I was driving over the Whitestone Bridge that connects Queens to Brooklyn, to the Bronx when I was living. When I felt, going through the worst experience in my life, I felt Lindor like parking the car, let them run over me, bam. Oh yes, I was a Christian. I loved the Lord. That didn't mean that I wasn't a king. Don't let nobody tell you that when you're a king, somehow something is wrong with your relationship with God. Nothing goes so. But God always intervenes. Always intervenes. My sister, he always intervenes. It's all right to ache. Share your story. Tell people what you've been going through. We're too inward. We keep it, and that perpetuates our suffering. Share your story. I'll give you the opportunities. I said I was going to be a 9. I'll give you the opportunities to ask some question, make a comment, and then I'm going to turn back over to Pastor Shane. But this is your opportunity to ask a few questions. If you've learned a lot and you're good, we will go. But if you have questions or stories to share, it's fine. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. If somebody come to you asking for help and they spoke with you, but you realize that they are not telling you the full story, will you force it out of?
Say it again.
They are not telling you the full story. Would you force it out of them, or would you prefer to wait and then until they open up?
You wait. If you suspect that they're not, because that's all you can do. You don't know that they're not telling you the full story. You just suspect they're not. Yeah. You wait. And often they will tell you, boy, this is tough. And you just stop them. You just say, it's okay. Take it at your pace. I'm willing to wait on you. You don't know what the... Listen, I've done it as a counselor. I'm 30 odd years doing this stuff, right? And when I say to them, take it at your pace, sometimes I say, I shouldn't have said that. Because the minute I say I'm willing to wait, I'm here to the floodgate open. Right that very minute. When you see them stop and they sigh, you know it's coming. But it is your willingness to let them know, I'm here for you. not for me. I had to tell my counselors, look here, you're not there to get nobody business. So you're not here to pry and pry. You're here to hear from them. Wait. Listen. Very good question. Excellent question. You wait. You let them go at their pace. Anyone else? This is for your help.
How do you then stop yourself, who's listening or trying to help, from becoming burdened and depressed also?
You need your counselor. Yes, you do. You need your own somebody to just talk to, and you, as you do, you cannot carry it with you. You cannot become emotionally enmeshed and involved in that. If you are finding yourself becoming emotionally enmeshed and involved, it means that you have something to resolve. You have something to resolve. So that's why I am 30 odd years in, but I still have counsel, somebody whom I talk to, right? You still have to have somebody. Anyone else? Anyone else? You haven't said anything all night, and I see something in your face. You want nothing? You're good? You're listening. You're listening. You learned a lot? You learned something tonight? Good. Very good. Very good. Very good. Anyone else? Well, I'm glad you came. I want you to come tomorrow night, especially youth. Bring your youth people. Tomorrow night is for them. We call it youth empowerment. We're gonna have questions. We're gonna break you out in groups and ask you questions, and then have you to come and share with us. And it's gonna open up in Antigua. We had to stop it because it opened up a whole host of discussion that helps us to understand what the youths are feeling. So it's your night tomorrow night, right? It's your night tomorrow night. As I've said, this is an ongoing project. I love the people of the Caribbean, right? We're neighbors, Antigua, Montserrat, right? You have people here who lives in Antigua whose roots are from Montserrat. And so the goal is to help, provide healing, everyday life problems. That's what we're here for. We're concerned for all, old and young, but we're especially focused on our youth because we know that if our societies are going to thrive, our youths must thrive. Their mental health must be intact. So God bless you. If you don't have any more questions, I want you to go to school. I want Erica to go to school, Alert tomorrow, and the rest of you to go to work. Easy, you too. I know. I want you to go to school tomorrow. I know you're not going to sleep early. You're going to be climbing up on Daddy's lap tonight. He may not come home so early tonight. Yeah, right? Anyway, thank you, Pastor Shane. Good.
Can we put our hands together for our presenter? Lovely, lovely, lovely. Thank you very much, Dr. Pigot. That was really, really well done. Simple for all of us to understand. He spoke our language, and to God be the glory. Can we put our hands together for God too? Amen. And also, there are some persons who came in late. Let me just identify them. Bishop Melroy Mead from the Church of God of Prophecy. We are so delighted to have you, sir, with us. And also, one of your member, Mr. Earl. We are so delighted to have you. And of course, we have teacher Mary, who is in the early childhood, primary, yes, the primary now school education sector. We're so delighted to have you. I trust that tonight was sumptuous, just as those 2 boxes you gave me yesterday. All righty. I shared them with my family. But my wife wasn't there. I know. All right. But and also we want to thank Sister Donna Buffang from the House of Refuge and Restoration Ministries, Pastor Buffon. We want to thank you for being here. And all of you from being here, and our friend Saran, we are so delighted that you have made it. Can we put our hands together for her? Thank you. And yes, we're coming there. Thank you so very much, Sister Peggy, for being here. Can we put our hands together for her? All right. And also, of course, our own Deputy Governor, Sister Lindon. I know she's really wrenching under that. She don't want to hear that because she's in familiar place. But I guess where honor is due, you give it. And of course, our contingent from Antigua. Let me quickly see the names that I recall. Sister Rachel. Right. Sister Carmel. All right. And Sister Karen. All right. Some of you might know her, even though she's a long time. But all right. And we have Dr. Anik with us. Right. And Sister Caroline. Right. So, okay. And the guys, Pastor Hugh Martin. Anybody recall the last preacher to come down before the missionary format changed? And it was right in this church. And of course, we have Mr. Ives Benjamin, Brother Ives Benjamin. All right? Okay, and of course, I think they're loving Montserrat too much. Huh? No. Let the people of Montserrat enjoy your labor some more. But we are indeed delighted to have you all of you, all of our friends and our visitors for being here, our members and our friends. And of course, we want to thank ZJB, the media team, for being here. Come on, put your hands together. And Mr. Philomagic Media. So thank you, everybody for being here. I see two senior persons here. We're thankful right behind, in the same row with Sister Peggy. We're delighted to really have you both. All right, Mr. Wyatt, everybody, God bless you. And so, and tomorrow night, as was said, tomorrow night is all about youth empowerment. Adults, you come out just the same, but bring along your sons, your daughters, your teen, your neighbors, children. Just come out. The whole works. All right, so, and we start tomorrow at 7 p.m. And of course, we have the booklet, and we will be given one per family. All right, so Sister Karen has them. So you could, once you represent a family, just hold your hand up, and we will just get it to you. So Sister Stephanie will come and give us the vote of thanks at this moment.
Once again, I would like to thank each and every one of you for coming out. And I hope that you would have learned something tonight that you can take back with you. Something about mental health. That mental health isn't just about madness, but mental health right across the board. Everyone has some sort of issue that would affect our mental health. And so tonight, I'm hopeful that you would have taken away something that would help you to improve your mental health and to seek help if you need help. Remember that ICE is here and that we're here to help, so you can reach out. We will be sharing the ICE hotline number with the different churches so that if there's any assistance that anyone needs, that you could reach out to us via the hotline number. So once again tonight, we'll just ask each one of you to stand, everyone to stand. And we're going to ask Pastor Meroy to dismiss us.
Let's bow our heads prayerfully. Eternal God, we thank you for this evening. We thank you, God, for the exposure as well as the development of our people. We ask, God, that as we grow and mature, that these programs would benefit our people. And that, oh God, we would go away from here tonight being better taught, being better understood, so we can help those and ourselves along the way. And as we are to depart now, Father, we pray your blessings in our going out and in our coming in. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen.
Remember tomorrow night at 7, Youth Empowerment.